Hello everybody, Dokkan Assets here. Today we are back with another Dragon Ball figure news video. Ladies and gentlemen, I did not expect to be making this video today, but we got the V-Jump leaks for this month. And lo and behold, we have SH FIGUARTS Dragon Ball Daima to take a look at. That's right. We have Goku, we have Vegeta, and we have Piccolo. Now, this is really exciting stuff, I'm not gonna lie, because obviously up until this point, really the only Daima figures that we have seen have basically been the Ichiban Kuji preview with Goku and Vegeta fighting, right? And we've gotten some confirmations that there's going to be some Daima figures. Like, I know Dragon Stars confirmed that they were going to be doing some Dragon Ball Daima figures, but we haven't really seen anything concrete of the little guys, right? The Goku Mini, the Vegeta Mini, the Piccolo Mini, and we finally have a look at that today. I was really expecting Tamashii and, SH FIGUARTS, whatnot, to pump out some Dragon Ball Daima figures, right? Especially considering that over the last, maybe 2 years, maybe year and a half, something like that, they've been dropping a bunch of small characters, right? Like we had GT Goku semi-recently come out, right? So it kind of doesn't surprise me that it almost seemed like they were sort of preparing to be able to make these smaller figures, in the sort of Daima look. And I gotta say, I think that these look absolutely fantastic. Let's go ahead and take a closer look. We are also very spoiled today because usually when we have these V-Jump scans, the scans are awful. They're usually not that high quality, but that's just because somebody's like either taking a picture of it or scanning it really quickly and then throwing it up online. But these are pretty good looking scans, so we actually have some pretty good HD quality there. So as you can see here, starting us off at the top, first of all, I have to say, I think the head sculpts look really good, right? If you've seen the Daima trailer and a lot of the Dragon Ball Daima art, right, like the renders for Goku and stuff like that, this is very, very close to the art style. I think they did a fantastic job mimicking the Daima art style. I will say, the first thing that kind of stands out to me about this, besides the face sculpts, is the joints, right? What I think is really interesting is the legs. If you look at the left Goku, right, you can see that the legs definitely seem to be a little bit different than how they've done smaller characters, where it's almost kind of like the legs are cut in half down the middle, and that is the point where you bend them at. I think that's really interesting, rather than trying to do the normal way that they do the knees, which kind of tries to keep the sculpt there. I think that this is the type of thing where sculpt-wise, it might not look as good, but I think for articulation, this is definitely going to be the better way to do it, because I feel like them trying to do the way that they traditionally do the legs probably wouldn't work out that well. In fact, let me actually pull up in another tab here. I'm going to pull up GT Goku for you just so we can take a look at his legs, right? Regardless of that, though, right, the only other thing that I really notice here is that on the side, obviously the right side, Goku's arm, right, you can see where it's kind of extending. You can see the blue joint in there, which I think is kind of interesting. It's definitely not, like, bad, right? And that also might just be them kind of, like, extending it a little bit so that they can hit this pose, right? Obviously, when it comes to a figure like this, it's going to be really hard for them to, what's the best way to describe it? Like, kind of keep a sculpt looking super clean while also having posability, just because of the nature of the size of the figure. By the way, I did pull up GT Goku here, and as you can see, yeah, he has a little bit more of the traditional bend, right, in the legs, where his legs actually bend midway through here, right? But then again, this GT Goku, I think, will be a little bit bigger than the Daima Goku, if I had to guess. Unfortunately, they don't really have that many pictures of him, like, actually kicking for the official pictures here. But you can see that, obviously, that's where the crease is, right, in his legs, if you're looking at, like, that picture, right? So either way, though, let's scroll down a little bit. First of all, the other thing also before we do is that you can tell that this obviously comes with a power pole, and it also comes with a accessory to hold the power pole. Now, SHF has done this, I believe, both ways in the past, where they have a power pole like holder, like a sheath almost, but then you can't actually put the power pole in it, and then the power pole is just a separate piece. And then they have a separate accessory, which is the power pole inserted into the sheath. So it'll be interesting to see which one that they do this time. And if we scroll down here, we have one more image of Goku kicking on the side here, right, which is pretty cool to see. This is honestly like probably the best look at the like full sculpt overall, this small picture right here. And I think it looks really good. Again, they did a great job capturing the proportions. I think that the colors look fantastic as well. The blues and oranges that they use are exactly how it looks in all the Daima material we've seen so far, which is really, really cool. Now, couple of other interesting things to note here, right? In terms of hands, the only hands that we've seen so far that come with this guy, you can see that there's obviously going to be fists from the left image there, and then obviously this one there's also going to be a fist, and then of course the classic fighting pose hands that come with a lot of SH FIGUARTS, that is also going to be included in here. And actually it's kind of hard to tell, but I think this might be the same hands for both of those. It does look a little bit different, to be honest with you. Like, I feel like the hands, or the fingers rather, a little bit more exaggerated on this left image up here than they are down here, but that could also just be because of the angle of the hand. I think that's what it is. Regardless, though, right, obviously the other hands that is pretty noteworthy that this is going to come with is some hands for the power pole specifically. So it'll be interesting to see if this comes with any other hands. Obviously we can already see that it comes with 3 face plates, right? It comes with the angry face, the teeth gritting face, and the screaming face. Hopefully it also does come with a smiling face, because I think that that would be perfect for Daima Goku. The other interesting thing here, by the way, is that as you can see in that little purple text box, it says it is going to be 3,960 yen, which, if I am remembering that correctly, that should actually be, I think, either an over-the-counter release, or it should be just a little bit more than an over-the-counter release, because we have like this guy, right? This was the Kaioken Goku, right? This was an over-the-counter release, so we're just going to use him as like an example since he's here, right? This guy is 3,500 yen, right? Even if we go back to the God Goku, right, that just came out recently, he just dropped in Japan, so he shouldn't be too hard to find. Actually, I just realized I'm going to have to search that because it's not base form Goku. And they differentiate that on the website. There we go. Super Saiyan God Goku. So let's go ahead and click on this, and then we'll go to here. So this is probably like the newest general release that we've had, right? So he's 3,600 yen. So with that being said, right, it's going to be interesting to see. Unfortunately, I don't know if this is going to be an over-the-counter release, because obviously it is a little bit more expensive than an over-the-counter release, but they obviously have done some figures in recent time that have been over-the-counter releases that have been a little bit more expensive, where they're maybe not like in stores necessarily, but they're just like on Amazon and like normal retailers, like Trunks, right? Trunks, Super Saiyan Trunks. I don't know if that'll actually come up. We might just have to search Trunks, because I think Goku is differentiated, but Trunks isn't. Yeah. This figure right here, right, the boy from the future, this was 6,500 yen, but this was indeed a regular release. So you didn't have to like go through any premium Bandai shenanigans to get this guy. So it'll be interesting. That would be really awesome if this guy was an over-the-counter release, because I think that would honestly be perfect for him. And not only that, but it would also get some free advertising for Dragon Ball Daima, considering I know it's been like kind of a meme in the community recently. But man, the marketing for this show has been not so great, unfortunately. Now, let's move on to Vegeta and Piccolo. By the way, just in case you're not familiar, the Vegeta that you've been seeing here, the Namek Vegeta, we talked about him in a previous video. This is a figure that's already up for pre-order on Premium Bandai, so it's nothing too crazy in terms of like, oh my gosh, there he is. And also these little stands are something that they just have at the Tamashii stores, so that's just what they're talking about there. But either way, Let's move on to Vegeta, right? So also interesting thing to note, right? Vegeta is also 3,960 yen, and Piccolo is apparently going to be 7,150 yen. Now, I'll tell you why that is in about 5 seconds, but let's take a look at Vegeta himself first. So, Vegeta looks really good. I think that it's kind of funny because he has such a puffy face, and the proportions are very much so like... It reminds me of like Looney Tunes. What's it called when they make them all like small? Tiny Toons? Something like that. The proportions really, really remind me of that, to be honest with you. But I think that works well for Dragon Ball Daima because obviously that's what happens to the characters. They get super small and tiny. So honestly, I think this works really, really well for, you know, the way that the figure looks. Obviously, the figure looks pretty good. It's kind of interesting to see, too, that they basically just scaled down the Vegeta re-release from recently, the Super Saiyan Vegeta, right? But obviously, we have 3 faceplates here as well. Excuse me. We have a smiling face, which is kind of funny that Goku doesn't have a smile pictured in here, but Vegeta does. That's a weird turn of events. We have the teeth gritting face and then the frowning face, right? As well for hands, we have the standard fighting pose hands, we have fists, and then we have the arms crossed, which is a classic for Vegeta, right? Makes sense that he would have that. It's kind of interesting here, too, because in terms of articulation, the knees look a little bit different than we're used to with Vegeta figures. It looks like that there is a ball joint in the middle of the knee. You can especially see it in the big Vegeta render right here. It looks like that's a ball. It's kind of hard to tell from the image, but usually with Vegeta, you know, it's just basically the bend at the knee. That could also just be the knee. It could not be a little bit of a ball joint, right? Which maybe the ball joint would be a little bit too much for the knee bend. I'm not positive if that's even necessary, to be honest with you, but it does look a little bit updated, which is kind of funny. Because obviously we don't have an official 3.0 Vegeta yet in terms of, you know, just sculpt and everything. So either way, though, Vegeta looks really good. I think that the hair sculpt is also interesting because it looks very, like, rounded. But I think that works pretty well for this, right? It's definitely not that, like, detailed. But again, I think it works pretty well. And funny enough, Vegeta's faces and head sculpt will actually probably look a little bit more coherent. Because if we go back to Goku, you can see that there's that big line right there, right above his bangs. And obviously the whole point is because that's an SH FIGUARTS figure, you're able to take that off and then change the faceplate, right? And obviously, because of the way that Vegeta's faces look, either you can't see the seam line in these pictures because it'll basically be right down the middle of his cranium, or this will just be multiple heads because that's usually how Vegeta's work, where they just take off the entire front of the, you know, like head rather than taking off just the face. Now, let's move down to Piccolo, right? So, for Piccolo here, you can see we have 3 different faces as well. We have the smiling face, which is here on the right. We have the face in the middle, which is the eyes closed one. And then we have the face on the left, which looks to be a little bit of an angry face. It's kind of hard to tell with that angle. But we do not only have the arms crossed piece for Piccolo, and obviously you can see there in terms of hands, we have the fist, and then we also have, it looks like hands extended in the image that he's flying. What's interesting, and the reason why this figure is so expensive, is because of the fact that this figure also has a cloth cape. If you are unfamiliar, recently, I'm really hoping when I search Gohan, this will just come up. Gohan Super Saiyan, haha, let's go. So Gohan, right, that just came out recently on the SH FIGUARTS one. This is the first SH FIGUARTS figure to have a cloth cape, right? A lot of people were really excited about this because in the past we've basically just gotten plastic capes, which are still cool, right? But what's really cool about this fabric cape is that not only does it look very nice, but at the end, right, it has a little bit of a bendy wire so that you can actually bend and form the cape into the shape that you want it to be in, which is really cool. And it looks like, once again, they are doing that for Piccolo. As you can see, this is a cloth-looking material, and especially on the pose where he is flying in the air, right, you can see that the cape is thrown behind him. Now, I will say, right, makes sense that these figures are maybe a little bit more expensive than the normal, like, over-the-counter release just because of the accessories they come with. But I will say that 7,000 yen price tag is a little bit hefty for Piccolo. I understand that they value that cloth cape quite a bit, especially considering it takes a lot to produce. But I do hope that they actually have some other accessories in there besides just the cape to kind of justify the price a little bit more. But I think overall these figures do look really good, if I do say so myself. In terms of like the sculpts, I think this is just about the best that they can do with making these tiny characters. Now, the final thing that I have for you regarding this, right? Let's go ahead and go back. So Baggy talks about, yeah, this is one thing that I wanted to mention in here, and this will also be something that we'll get a little bit more information with later. I was expecting the SH Figuarts to be revealed at SDCC, so I guess it being in the V-Jump issues makes sense. Bizarre with this tag and no release date. Seems we have got to wait for the show's release month to actually be confirmed. Yeah, so we don't actually have a date on these three figures so far, which is kind of interesting because obviously, right, usually when they announce these figures, it's like, yeah, this is the month that they're coming out in. That's very typical of SHF. This is the first time in a long time, at least as far as I'm aware, that they haven't actually shown the date for these, which is really, really interesting. But yeah, so hopefully we'll find out at SDCC. I'm assuming at SDCC is when we'll find out the release date, because it is going to be that Dragon Ball Daima panel. So it'll be interesting to see when we actually get that information. The last thing I wanted to show you in regards to these, obviously this is a little bit of Google Translate shenanigans, but I think it's still important to read. Like a bit of a weird translate, but you get the gist. Based on the price, it doesn't seem like it's going to include an alternate head for Goku Vegeta, so maybe that puts a kibosh on the idea that they're able to transform. I think he just means that, you know, basically they're not going to be able to transform. So let's see. Figures from the completely new Dragon Ball anime series, which is attracting attention all over the world, will be released soon. We ain't going to comment on that one with the marketing. Release date undecided. Product name SH Figuarts Dragon Ball Daima, right? We already looked at the price. A special movable structure has been adoptable, allowing for cool posing. With SHF's unique movable area, it is possible to pose a sense of dynamism. That's kind of funny considering it's Dragon Ball Daima, but they mean like dynamic posing. You can also prefer actions with the Noble in hand. How do I translate this on the side? Smaller will be the broadcast this fall. 3 people who have become a completely new anime about warriors will be released. Basically, they're just saying there's going to be 3 figures. Teaser cause is unknown in the movie, in the video, in the SHF. His friends will appear. Basically, they're just saying, you know, the figure is small and, you know, it'll be Goku, Vegeta, and Piccolo. Dynamic take action experience, the evasive battle pose. Also pay attention to Vegeta's unique fearless expression. Wow. Yeah, so this is what we were talking about with Piccolo, right? Adopts a cloth cloak. Built-in wire allows you to freely change the shape. Piccolo's cloak is made of cloth. I combined it, cloak and cloth. And the built-in wire can be bent into any shape to create a variety of poses. Yep. So that's basically all the information that we know at the moment. So let me know what you guys think of these figures. I am really curious to hear your thoughts. I will definitely be picking these up. I'm really excited for Dragon Ball Daima, especially Goku. I'm sure most people will probably get Goku if they're going to get any of them, right? But I really, really like the way that these turned out, especially Goku. I think Goku probably looks the best out of all of them. I mean, I guess that makes sense considering he is the MC. But regardless, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, and I will catch you in the next one. Dokkan Assets out. Peace.